many of you know who's Jael? Don't tell me you don't know. Okay. How many of you know who is Caesarea? Okay. You have to have some classes. Okay. Caesarea is a Canaan and army guy. So he was killing people, and then so. How many of you know Barak? Deborah? Have you heard names like that? Okay. Yeah. So Barak and Deborah. Deborah was the prophetess and time of the ruler kind of thing. And Barak was the warrior. So Barak was supposed to, I was supposed to name my son Barak, but then second name was going to be Barak, but then Brio wanted it Daniel, so we went with Daniel. What was I saying? Yeah, so Barak was a warrior, and Deborah as a prophetess saying to Barak, go fight the war. And Barak was scared, and he told Deborah, you come with me. Dey munjone keli kekku anga irukronla. Okay. She said, like, come with me, that's when I will do the war. And Deborah said, no, I will come, you have to go alone, but then I will come with you, but the victory will not be called for you. A woman will take the name of the victory. And he will say, it's okay, Deborah only is going to take, so he will go for the war. They will almost win, the Canaanites, and then the Canaanites guys will run away, and Caesarea, the head of the camp, runs. And when he runs into the hut of Jael. He runs into the hut of the Jael. Jael is a housewife who knows nothing. So he runs inside to hide. So he has come to kill our people. So he is already cornered, so he's running away and is hiding in arrows. So what Jael will do, she'll go, and how many of you, okay, if I say in Bible there's a word called, you're the most blessed woman, for who did God say? The most blessed woman. If what comes to your mind, tell me. Most blessed woman. Mary. Ah, very good. Then? What's that? Elizabeth. Okay. The most blessed woman. If anyone can turn. Okay, I'm explaining my daughter's name, but I'm very sorry, it's out of topic. Judges chapter 5, verse 24. Can anyone read? Judges chapter 5, 24. Okay. Okay. So she was called the most blessed woman after Mary. Before Mary, sorry. Most blessed woman. So what she does is, Caesarea is going inside the house, and then when he's sleeping, when he's lying down, she takes something and then wealth, everything will be under Ophel. So Ophel will be like the control, the last place. If they're coming to attack, if my kingdom is going to be taken out, the last place they will reach is Ophel. Because from Ophel only, they will be watching who is coming inside, because it will be the tip. And Ophel will be the place where they keep treasure, and king will be in the last minute of hiding. So Ophel is like the secret place. And so Solomon, when he built church, the first thing they built is Ophel, because that's how you build it. So that's why we named Ophel. Okay, anyway, that is not the topic. So last week, I think I was preaching, and then I was talking to you guys about something. How many of you remember? I was talking to you about Moses. Yeah? Jacob. Ah, very good. What happened to Moses and Jacob? Fear. Yeah, but then what did God make them do? Face the fear. How many of you understood this? Okay, how many of you have faced your fear? Not yet. Yeah? So I left you with a hook of the preaching that I said, David also had a fear, but then he was not ready to face his fear. And in spite of the fear, in spite of like facing, instead of facing the fear, he decided to do something. That is, I'll tell you again, why fear comes to you. Why does fear come to you? Why fear comes to you? You answer. When you do something wrong, or why does fear come? Fear comes to us out. Why did fear come to Moses? Just assume. Fear came to Moses because he did certain thing in Egypt, that is murder. So he is hiding the fear. What was the fear of Moses? The fear is he will go back and the king will kill him. That is the fear. So what was the fear based on? What was the fear based on? Did the king kill him? Did the king kill him? Did the Pharaoh kill him? So what was the fear based on? Now, based on what? The fear was based on simple assumption. He assumed, or he thought, he believed that this Pharaoh will kill him. If Pharaoh had to kill Moses, who's living just close by to the Egypt, wouldn't he traced Moses and killed him? Because he was the most powerful kingdom those days. Yes or no? If Pharaoh wanted to, would he even not attempted? Okay, he did not find him, let's just assume. But then he wouldn't even have attempted to go meet Moses and kill him. So what was the fear based on for Moses? Was based on an assumption that king is searching for him to kill. But in this assumption, king is not involved because he is busy in other things. So the fear sometimes comes to us out of assumption. We assume that maybe this will happen. Maybe this is how it is going to end. Maybe this is how it is going to be seen. For an example, when David had an issue, when David's issue was that he was trying to destroy the man who is just the woman that who is her husband. So he wanted to do something. But then you see, the assumption is he was afraid that the news will spread when the husband is there. I had a relationship with him. And then that whole created a fear in him. And out of that fear, he acted out in a bad way. So fear is very important. For an example, how many of you saw devil? None of us. How many of you saw ghost? Maybe none of us. But then why there is a fear on it? It's an assumption that something will happen. You go in the dark, it's an assumption something will happen. You assume, and so the fear sometimes is of assumption. Most of the fear. What if? Say what if? What if they will tell like this? What if I go and speak, what if he will think like this to me? So this will create a fear. Many of you are losing opportunity only because the what if question comes to you. What if they find me ugly? What if they don't accept me? What if I'm not good enough? What if I am not? So you're starting to assume, and that assumption later converts into fear. That fear later converts into your attitude. And that attitude suppresses your capacity. So where did it start? For assumption, fear, and it got you all the way to suppress you. What will people think? What if they don't accept me? What if I cannot study? What if, when I remember Manova just this week, because he sent me a message, I'm sorry I'm mentioning him, that this week he sent me a message saying I passed out and all of that. When he went to college, he said, I don't want to go to college, I want to do business. I don't know if he remembers this, I was very young. I asked him why. He said, for me to even clear 10th standard is struggling, I'm struggling. What if I will not even clear first PU? And he finished degree today. I told him, if you don't go near, you cannot expect what will happen. So assumption will create your fear, and that fear will create a knowledge that is very bad. So that will suppress you. So you never assume. You never try and assume. What will happen? It doesn't matter. What will they think of me? It doesn't matter. How will they communicate with me? It doesn't matter. How will they accept me? It doesn't matter. How do I look? It doesn't matter. How do they see? It doesn't matter. So these all the things that will create fear in you. And that fear will not let you shine. How many of you understood this? So fear is very dangerous. Because most of the times our fears are because we assume. So why do we assume? Why do we assume? Why do you assume things? Try. Why do you assume things? Okay, what is opposite of assumption? How many of you understood what is assumption? Karpana. Imagination, in our words. So what is an opposite of assumption? Reality. Very good then. Guarantee, then assumption. Okay, how does assumption come? How do you assume? Okay, how many of you have assumed things? You see a person, you look at their dress, you assume. You look at their hairstyle, you assume. Yes or no? You assume. How many of you have a perception of me? Don't have to lift your hands, I know. I also have a perception of you. So, it might be true, it may not be true. The words I speak made you assume, or words you speak made me assume. So assumption, we never know what is the truth. How many of you have been very 100% correct in all of your assumption? So it's basically, it's a vague thing. That means it's not a stable thing. Assumption is a playing on a knife. You never know which side it will go. So anyways. So what is assumption? How does a man assume? How does a man assume? He's thinking, okay. How does anyone assume? He's thinking, then I want you to think now. Imagination, then after listening experience or experience, past experience, then. So assumption is all of what you said. The assumption's right opposite is reality. So from there only we have to understand. So assumption means something that is not real. It has a high possibility of becoming real, but it is not real as of now. If it is a real, then you will not call it assumption, you will call it the reality. Why are you calling it an assumption? That means it is not sure whether it is real or no. That's why it is called assumption. So now, assumption can come to you when you are imagining, when you are thinking over what you should think. Say your problem is overthinking. Say to a person next to you and say, your problem is overthinking. நீ ரொம்ப think பண்ற அதான் உன் பிரச்சனையே. Overthinking. What is overthinking? Again, I will stop there. What is overthinking? Yeah, beyond what you see is what? Overthinking. How many of you got it? beyond what you really see. So, assumption's opposite is reality. So, how do I see reality? Reality is always seen with what? Who cannot see the reality? A person who's assuming. So then who cannot see a reality? Who else cannot see the reality? Those who are blind. Then who cannot see the reality? Have you seen anyone in your group or anyone around you? Whatever you tell, they illada ippadithaan illa nee adukkaga dhaan pannirukva. Illa nee ippadithaan nichu dhaan panniruppa. How many of you observed this? How many of you observed this assumption? Who cannot accept the reality? A person who's not sound mind. That means a person who's not wise. Why is wisdom so important for Christians? The fear of the Lord is beginning of. Why is wisdom so important? What wisdom does to you? Wisdom eliminates, wisdom immediately eliminates the assumption. Because they cannot go hand in hand. A person who assumes imagines. A person who has wisdom analyzes. I will say it again. A person who assumes imagines. A person who has wisdom analyzes it. So analyzation comes to a person who has wisdom. So now we have to track back all the way to Genesis. Can you turn your Bible to Genesis? Genesis chapter 3 verse 15. Okay, I was talking to you about fear. I was talking to you about assumption. I was talking to you about reality. I was talking to you about wisdom. Okay, now, yeah. Huh? Yeah. Yeah. Okay, where am I going back? Why am I going back now? That Satan, God is telling a curse to the snake. What is God telling? Hey snake, look at here. You are going to be crushed on the head by the woman's children, because you both joined together and brought this sin into the world. So now it's about time that he, as I will curse you, he will strike you. He will crush your head, sorry. And then the second curse is what God is giving for humans. Who's human? For us, what is he saying? Read the last line. For you will read. You will strike, heal. What is a heal? Where he will strike. The curse is for both. You are going for his head, but he is going for your heel. See the difference. Where are you going? You are going for the head of that snake's generation. But that snake's generation is coming to your generation in the... Okay. So saying this. Why heel? And why head? What striking on head will do, Stephen? If someone crushes your head, what happens? But then ultimately die. Ultimately death. If you hit on my heel, what happens? Someone say that. But then what happens? I don't want the damage. I understand the damage is less. That's why 5 times I'm telling head and heel. Pain. Then I'm trying to get you. It'll break. You'll fall down. Then I'm watching for the right word. Whatever you said is right only, but then move forward. Then very right word. Hitting on the heel. You can't stand. hitting on the heel, what you said is, I'm not going to say anything different. So what you said is right. I agree with that. So when he hits on your heel, immediately you will not die. But he will die. Snake will die. But you will not die. So this is a curse that he is going to bring. So when he hits on your heel, you will stumble. What's the stumble? What is stumble? You cannot regularly do something. If he hits on your this one, you can regularly walk. Only this hand you cannot use. But if he hits on your leg, heels, your whole body cannot regularly function. How many of you understand? So why is that? So where is Satan going to hit you? Why? Why? That much only yes is allowed. He is allowed to only make you stumble. He is allowed only to make you uncomfortable, not put you in the normal stage. But you are allowed to. What are you allowed to? To crush his head. That means you khatam him, but he can only shake you. How many of you understood? So saying this, the first attempt Satan unukku introduction is this. Your introduction is this only. He will create a situation for you where you are not free and you are not good enough to walk. நீ என்னதான் சொல்லு, உனக்கு ஜுரம் கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாது, வயிறு வலி கண்டுபிடிக்க முடியாது, தலைவலி கண்டுபிடிக்க, your headache we cannot find. You have a problem in lungs, we cannot find. We cannot see and tell you have a problem in life. You might have some difficulties. You would have whole night you would have done, like you would have suffered a lot. Paracetamol la eduthu vandirpa. We cannot find out. But the minute something happens to your leg, automatically everyone will be like, "Innada achu kaalku?" Why? It's easy to point. You cannot say onnume avala na chuma nondi paathane. Adu sollu. People are like, "What are you fool or what?" நீ நொண்டி பார்க்கலாம் முடியாது. So easily observed என்ன? Where you easily make people observe that they are not right is their feet. Make their feet stumble. So where Satan will attack you, your stability. Say, in my stability. That is his power. When I say power, the curse I am talking about. That's his capacity to attack your. So why am I telling about this? When I am talking about fear and assumption. Assumption, which is, when I say assumption, you should put fear also in your brain. This assumption will never let you walk upright. It will stumble you. If I am standing here, if I am assuming, what I am going to speak, whether these guys will like, automatically, I am not lying, automatically your legs will shake. Seriously. If you don't have an experience of doing something, when you are doing that, your legs will automatically shake. Yes or no? Someone say yes or no. Kaal kayala nadungudunu solrangala illaya. If you have that much of fear, what happens to you first? Your teeth, kaal on. Paathirukingala? Ayirka irukadhu apdi. If it has happened, it has happened. So saying this, Bible is telling that Satan's only goal is to make you stumble. And then he is using, how do I strike you? How does he strike you? I don't understand this. God is cursing the human. He is saying, you will crush the head of the, understand, listen to me very carefully. Then you will miss it. You will crush the head of the snake. How do I crush the head of the snake? How do I crush? You're coming now with my flow. How do I crush? Stamp. So where is the heel? Okay. Now answer. Before he bites your heel, you will crush. You have to, you will crush. Because first the curse is for who? First who is doing in the Bible verse? Humans. Second only Snake. So first who will do? So how much capacity he will have to bite me on the thing that I'm going to crush his head on? I don't understand. How will he bite me on the thing that I'm going to crush his head on? If that is a curse for him, that is a power. Let's just curse ipo power mathikalam. Chumma or understanding. If his power is to bite me on my heel, my power is to crush him by my heel. If a matter of the fact is, yaar mundikirata. The matter of the fact is, who is going to be first? I have the power of crushing him. He has the power of striking me or biting me on the same place that I'm going to crush him. So where Satan is going to bring assumption and fear in you, where you have the power, where you're bold, where God has kept a desire, when God has kept a vision, there He will bring the assumption and fear. If something is scaring you, that is where God has kept power for you. Because that is how much He can reach. How many of you understood this? That is where your capacity is. He is not bothered about your hand, He is not bothered about your thigh, He is not bothered about your head. He is bothered about the heel. That is where it's coming. So every fear and assumption is coming out of to make you stumble. When you are stumbling, when you are shaking, it's easy for him to. So how many of you know what you're scared of? You're scared of something, that is your strength. That is why you're scared of something. You're scared of going to the next level. That is, you're scared because that is your biggest strength. And he wants to make you assume that this strength is not right. And he wants to confuse you with assumption. Okay, I want you to read certain words, okay? Proverbs chapter 8 verse 2. How many of you understood so far? Yeah? If you did not understand, please ask. Proverbs chapter 18 verse 2. Sorry. Uh-huh. Uh-huh. Amen. Bible says a fool cannot take pleasure in understanding. Say, a fool cannot take pleasure in understanding. Say one more time. A fool cannot take pleasure in understanding. That means a fool will never try to understand. The fool will always assume. Why? Basically because he's a fool. Someone please help. Because he's a fool. So the fool will always be ready to only assume. So Bible is telling, you are assuming, you are doubting, you are only questioning because you don't want to look onto the knowledge that I have invested. You don't want to be in there. You're lacking in knowledge. You don't want to understand. How many of you have a biggest problem in assuming? Many of you don't know that you're assuming. Many of you believe that that is the truth. That is where Satan easily, so nicely, so naively, he has played with you to stumble. He has played with your relationships. He has played with your friendships just because he wants to create an assumption. He has played with the church just because he wants to create an assumption. The knowledge is better, and Bible is telling a fool will assume, but a person who's wise will want the knowledge over it. You want a knowledge. You have to be wise. You have to see what is Stephen like. You have to understand before assuming. Say, understand before assuming. Understand before assuming, because there is no other way. Satan always will create an assumption. Each one of you here have an assumption for each one of you here. If you don't have, you can just lift your hands. But each one of you here did not spend your time to understand and to get the wisdom from each one to understand what they are. Let the assumption be assumption. You say assumption, let it be converted into knowledge. If Stephen is in front, so he won't mind. If Stephen is bad, let me not assume, let me know. Whoa. If Godwin is bad, let me not assume, let me know he's bad. If not, it's better for me to believe he's good. I'm going to forget this. In your life, if you have a problem, better face it than to think it is a problem. Than to believe that it is a problem. Than to fear that it is a problem. And when you go to the problem is nothing. But you wasted all this time thinking. 1 year that fellow Chuma sat at home thinking he cannot study anymore. Now he finished. When you stand there, this 5 years would have been a problem for you, yes or no, Manava? But when you finish it, it's important, church. You go to the knowledge. If you don't find, okay, this Krishita looked at me and she looks angry at me. I gave her something. She was angry. Okay, now I assume that Krishita has an attitude and she's a very bad girl. So now I will never go back to her and give anything to her. And then now I will make an assumption. Okay, this girl, if she's angry, what will be her character? Okay, this character is not good. Whatever. Okay, fine. This is the full picture of Krishita in my. Maybe that day she was just cranky or mood off. Or she was in depression or whatever. But I created a whole statement for Krishna. Imagine, you have done that to so many people. Yes or no? Say wisdom is better than assuming. How are you connecting this? Wisdom means, as Anna said, reality. Knowing it, facing it, walking it, talking it, understanding it. Whoever comes to you and say, hey, unga theriyuma and vinotana appadi theriyuma, ama assumption thukinodu un kuppiyila kotuva, nee and kuppiya edthini innum kuppiya panni nee 10 perukku kotuva. Knowledge. Church, learn this. In the new generation, at least you guys learn this. Never go with an assumption. Always go with the knowledge. Even biblically, if you're going to fast, why are you fasting? Avaru sonnaru aniki fasting irundarama appo avarku bayangarama or idu vanduchama adanal. No, go with the knowledge. Why you're fasting? Why are you doing what you're doing? Why am I doing what I'm doing? Why am I in the church? Why I have to serve? Go for the knowledge of it. For his blessing will not come to you as a blessing. அவனுக்கு ஒன்று நடந்துச்சுன்னா அந்த ஆசீர்வாதம் உனக்கு வரணும்னு ஒன்றும் இல்லை. So do not follow with an assumption. You're not here for worshiping a God who does not provide knowledge. You have all the material to get the knowledge. சிலர் சொல்லுவாங்க, டேய் நீ சர்ச்சுக்கு வந்து லைக் இந்த ஒருத்தன் சொல்லியிருந்தான், நான் வந்து டைத் போடுறோம். டைத் என்ன பண்ணிட்டுக்கிறாங்கன்னா, ஒரு நாள் டைத் போடும்போது அந்த மாதம் வந்து லெஃப்ட் ஹேண்டில் போட்டுக்கிறாங்க. ஏதோ அர்ஜென்ட்டில் கை, அந்த மாதம் வீட்டில் ரொம்ப கஷ்டம். ஸோ இப்போ இவங்க நம்பிட்டாங்க என்னன்னு, பிரச்சனை கையில், இந்த கையை கடவுள் காலில் உண்டாக்குனா இருப்பாரு இல்லைடா. They assumed, I'm just giving an example. They assumed the problem was the hand. They did not go for the knowledge of it. Many of you are not going for the knowledge and you're assuming. I will finish it off. Turn your Bibles to Proverbs 18 verse 15. Yeah? Yeah. Then Proverbs chapter 12 verse 1. Okay. Bible says an intelligent heart acquires knowledge. Say intelligent. Intelligent. How many of you want to be intelligent? Very good. So what do you have to look on? Assumption. Huh? ஆனால் நான் நினைக்கிறேன் அப்படின்னா வாய் மேலே குத்துவேன் நெக்ஸ்ட் டைம் யாராவது வந்து நான் நினைக்கிறேன் நான் அப்படி தான் நான் நினைச்சேன். 2 girls came to me and was talking to me a couple of months ago. I gave them left, right, center. Because they assumed something and came to me. You cannot assume things and come. I'm not raising you to assume here. Assumption is the last thing that you should anyway try. It's a Satan's trap for you to stumble. How many of you understood? With what weapon you're going to kill, the same weapon he's going to attack. So who is going to be first is the creativity here. Most of the times he is first. So that means he is attacking a lot of people. You're stumbling in front of people because you assume they are wrong. You're stumbling in front of things that you assume that will not work for you. You're stumbling in front of situations because you assume that is not for you. Did you know that it is not for you? Did you know that you will not go into corporate? Did you know that you will not be successful? Did you know? Did you walk there? Did you know that you will not become good? Did you know that you also will be wealthy? Did you know? But you assumed because your father was like that. Your grandfather was like that. You assumed. You assumed. But did you know? So what are you running your life with? Assumption. எனக்கெல்லாம் இது ஒண்ணுமே ஆகாது, எனக்கெல்லாம் வராது, இதெல்லாம் எனக்கு நடக்காது, this and all I cannot do. In my family no one had babies. In my family nothing had happened. We are always poor, we also will be poor. Okay? Where is the knowledge here? Where is the knowledge? Assumption. It happened to them, it will happen to me. If that is the case, everyone who goes in the road will not take the newspaper and read in the morning, oh, so many accidents happened, so I also will not go because that accident will happen to me. That is how it is. That is how foolish it sounds. And Bible is telling this, whoever loves, so an intelligent heart acquires knowledge. The ear of a wise seeks knowledge. You have to know why Stephen is not talking to me. You have to know why Sam is like this. Not just assume that is as a character. Not assume that this is how Anna is, this is how church is, this is how that things are. Don't do that for the next generation at least, because you need knowledge. Knowledge makes you intelligent, and intelligent people will not waste their time in their life. They will not waste their friendships in life. They will not be in a bondage. Bible says, for the Son has set you free, and you are what? Assume you're free. You'll be free to talk to a person looking at their eyes, because you don't have any assumption on anyone. You're free to look into people's eyes and talk. You're free to stand anywhere boldly talk. You're free to shake their hands and talk. You'll not fear, you'll not be scared, you'll not know what is happening, because you don't go by the assumption, but you go by the knowledge. Amen. How many of you understood? Just one story, Job chapter 3 verse 25. Bible says, what I feared, Job is saying, what I feared, somebody tell me. Job did not get the difficulties because it was sent by God. Job himself says, the difficulties came to him. Maybe it was permissioned or it was okay by God. But it reached Job only when he assumed or when he feared. The difficulties will come to you maybe, but it can touch you only when you assume and believe or fear. It will be next to you only. That snake is ready to bite your heel. The minute you fear, it is going to jump. So Job is telling, how many of you feel bad for Job? Lost children, lost everything, lost wealth. But Job only analyzing later, and he's telling what I fear only. So the point is, assumption will happen. Basically, Godwin is not bad to me. But I assume Godwin is bad to me. So assumption will, according to the context, will. Basically, I'm good in singing. I'm just saying so and so. Basically, I'm good in this work. But I assume that I'm not good. So assumption will happen. Say assumptions will happen. Whenever I say, you say. Maybe God has called me for something. Maybe He will give me a college or a degree or whatever. But I assume I cannot do it. I assume I'm not good enough. I assume I don't look good enough. I assume I cannot speak good enough. So assumption will. And then when it happens, you should not say, oh, I assumed it happened. Hey fellow, you assumed it. That's why it happened, fellow. How many of you understood? I assumed, see, that day I assumed, I told you, no, it will happen. That is why it happened, How many of you getting it? Knowledge, say knowledge. Knowledge is important. Recently, a brother came to me and I was talking about something of his personal. I was trying to tell him, more than assuming, you sit and think what could have gone wrong. Assumption anyone can do out of their pressure. But thinking only an intelligent, a wise person will do. And Bible is telling you have to be intelligent. Say intelligent. At least sandosthukal sollunga intelligent. What you assume will happen. Not what happened will you assume. Not that side. What is happening, you are assuming, அப்படி நீங்க வந்து ஆஸ்ட்ரோட்ராம் மாதிரி ஒரு அறிவாளி மாதிரி தீர்க்கதரிசி. What you assumed only, Job is telling that. What I feared, ஏண்டா நல்லா தாண்டா வாழ்க்கை போயிடுச்சு, குழந்தை குட்டிங்களோட நல்லா வச்சுட்டு அங்கே எதுக்கு உன் ஃபியர் வந்துச்சு? Satan's key is to make you, he will not break your hand. He is not bothered about eating your face. And moreover, he doesn't have power for that. His only capacity on you, say, Satan's only capacity on me, say loudly, Satan's only capacity on me is to make me stumble. Stumble na? Shake. அதுதான் அவனோட கெப்பாசிட்டி. ஆனால் அவன் அத்தனூண்டு ஒரு மேட்டரை வச்சு அவன் தலையும் தப்பிக்க வச்சுக்கிறான், உன்னையும் ஆட வைக்கிறான். உன்னை ஆட வச்சது இல்லாமல் உன்னை பிரிக்கிறான். ஃப்ரெண்ட்ஸோட, ஃபேமிலியோட, வேலையிலேருந்து, உன்னோட டேலண்ட்லேருந்து, உன்னோட அறிவுலேருந்து, உன்னோட எல்லா காரியத்துலேருந்து பிரிக்கிறான். பிரிச்சுட்டு நீயே உனக்கே முடியாதுன்ற மாதிரி உன்னையே காட்டுறான். காட்டிட்டு கடைசியில் உனக்கு கடவுள் கொடுக்கலன்றது திருப்பி உன்னோட ஆப்பு உனக்கே வைக்கிறான். கடைசியில் எங்கே கொண்டு போகிறான் பார்த்துருக்கீங்களா? வேர் Satan will take you. Lastly, he will take you there where you can say, God did not give me. He gave to Johnson, he did not give me. இவங்களெல்லாம் நல்லா வச்சுக்கிறாரு, என்ன வைக்கல. எங்கே கொண்டு வந்தா பார்த்தியா? It started by making your leg. அவனோட கெப்பாசிட்டி அவ்வளோதான். That is his capacity. And he worked very fine in his capacity. Who wants to be first now to crush his head? You better hurry up before he brings a strategy. Knowledge is important. Church, I will leave you a loop that next week or a couple of, whenever I get opportunity, why knowledge is important in fear. We'll talk about that in couple of days. But then always seek knowledge. Knowledge means you should be first person to run over it. And then when I was thinking of this preaching 2 weeks before, but then this perfection. Okay, I said, do not let an assumption destroy your redemption, but be an exception for all is deception. You know what is deception, no? Satan's smartness, deception. May this be your conclusion, so you may look forward to be a perfection. Amen? So this is how you start. Assumption is dangerous, but then you look forward, and it will bring you redemption. It will bring a different life. So let's just close our eyes and then pray.